it's all good for this Wigan sort of let him go and bring him back kind of approach that they've taken, isn't it? With obviously Budgie coming back and the Tompkins before and Mossop and other players like that. So there's clearly a better environment than recent off-field exploits might suggest. Yeah. But no, I think it's a good signing for a player who can play a couple of different positions, but playing them both to an international standard. Yeah. And he's been integral in the Warriors' recent run of performances that has got them strongly back in contention for the top 8. Yeah. Something that didn't look likely. Sort of after a quarter of the season when he was still out injured. Yeah. So actually, they are missing a player that they would have wanted to keep around, which is great news for Wigan that we managed to get him on a deal that isn't as much as was offered by other Super League clubs as well, from what I've heard.
It's perhaps not such good news for the likes of Sam Powell and Ryan Hampshire, though, who you would think would probably be... Certainly Sam Powell has stepped into that hooking role with him, but with McIlaurin coming back and Lulawai being able to spell him, you would think that Sam Powell might be looking at his options moving forward, and definitely Ryan Hampshire, who... wants to be a halfback so much it shows in his eyes, but
Ryan Hampshire might have to step
he's probably going to have to move on
before he can step back up a level.
I would be surprised if Sam Powell was still
on a loan deal or not. Sam Powell has shown qualities that people would look for. I think there's other players that are going to move on, because obviously Frank Paul, you talked about last week, has come in. Hopefully he's not a penalty machine and is more a running over people machine, so we'll wait and see how that turns out. But that's going to pave the way, I believe, for a Greg Burke to move to Widnes in pretty much the same whenever the deal is, whenever it's finalised for Frank Paul and the visa and stuff. So in the next 2 weeks, Greg Burke may well have played his last game for Wigan. You can't keep them all. Sam Powell, I'm not sure I really like Sam Powell. The other question mark player, I suppose, is Matty Smith in this whole merry-go-round.
Oh yeah, because he's been heavily linked with St Helens as well, hasn't he?
Repeatedly ever since he came to Wigan, and before he came to Wigan has been linked with St Helens. So that's an interesting one to look at as time goes forward, because obviously we've got to start thinking about young Jake Shorrocks, who for me in his brief appearances has shown more sort of suitability for the role within the team than some of the other players you mentioned did with the team around them. So we'll see.
We'll see how we go. It's exciting times. Hull FC have signed a young centre, Nick Rawsthorne. There's an S in that. Rawsthorne from Halifax for the 2017 season. As one of the Championship's brightest prospects, the 20-year-old has signed an initial 1-year deal with an option in the club's favour should they wish to extend this. He can play at centre or fullback and is a confident goal kicker. Speaking to HullFC.com, he said, "I've grown up playing mostly rugby union, I've grown up playing mostly rugby union. I've really enjoyed rugby league as well, and I'm aiming to make a name for myself at Hull FC. I'm prepared to make the step up to Super League and push for a first-team place, whether that is this year or a few years down the line. I'm really excited to work with Lee Radford, and I think he'll be able to get the most out of me." He was a convert from rugby union, where he represented England's under-18s and Leeds Carnegie. Ralston has also had a spell at the academy at Leeds Rhinos before joining Halifax. As a junior, he grew up playing union, as we previously said, but did win 3 National Rugby League trophies whilst at school and played for the amateur club Siddle in West Yorkshire, so he does have quite a rugby league pedigree if he's come through Siddle. They are one of the stalwart amateur sides in West Yorkshire, so good luck to him moving to Hull.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot
see how his options go.
For places in those centres. I wonder where this leaves someone like Jack Logan. They've signed 2 centres. Yeeman probably won't be going anywhere because he doesn't count as much on the cap in his experience, unless he's going to retire and go into the coaching side of things. I don't know.
You think Yeeman's got another year?
But you wonder where it leaves someone like a Jack Logan, who looked like he was ready to burst onto the scene this year, and unfortunately it hasn't really come about, has it? Obviously, we know Steve Michaels is one that's going to probably be is going to be moving on, don't we? Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens at Hull FC.
Right. Wakefield have recalled young forward Anthony Walker from Whitehaven and sent Andy Yates the other way. Yates has joined the Cumbrian side on a 28-day loan, following in the footsteps of Wildcats teammate Walker after he spent time at the recreation ground. Former Saints star Walker was sent out on loan to the Championship side and has impressed in his spell with James Coyle's men. His performances have seen him recalled by Chris Chester, who has now allowed the former Leeds star Yates to go in the other direction. Staying with Wakefield, they're also considering a ground share for 2017 as the sale of Bellevue has stalled. Trin are believed to be after a ground share with Dewsbury as delays have hit the purchase and redevelopment of Bellevue. Dewsbury play at the Tetley Stadium, which has a capacity of 5,100. Wakefield chairman Michael Carter wrote in yesterday's programme for their match with St Helens, unfortunately the issues surrounding Bellevue continue to remain unsolved. I was told the issues surrounding Bellevue should have been all done and dusted by Easter, and here we are 3 months later and yet again nothing has happened. Not for the want of trying, I might add. It is my firm belief that there is at least one party involved in the negotiations about the ground that is actively conspiring against the club and the Stadium Trust to their own financial benefit. With this in mind, I have again instigated talks with another club about a ground share next season. The time for talk has ended and the need for action is apparent. I don't want to ground share with another club, but we can no longer continue with Bellevue as it is.
Yeah, this is basically the now almost becoming annual story, isn't it? Yeah. But it's very sad.
Yes, it is.
When you consider the history of the place.
Yeah.
But hopefully this will be the impetus, as it was last year, to make people realise that they kind of should be there and they should sort it out a little bit.
Yes.
Fix it up a bit.
Yes, you would hope so, wouldn't you, for the sake of... I mean, it's a lovely... I mean, look, it's not the greatest viewing experience. We've been to Bellevue, but... You can't help but feel the history of the place.
Yeah, that's
like you say, there is that, there is scope for improvement. So you would hope that people can sort this sort of thing out. Lee Centurion's forward Brenny Maitua will hang up his boots at the end of the 2016 season. Maitua had been a first grader since 2004, making his NRL debut with Canterbury. The back rower has played for the Bulldogs, the Sharks, the Eels, Featherstone Rovers, Salford and the Lee Centurions in a long and eventful career. The 34-year-old won an NRL Grand Final with Canterbury in 2004 and played one test for Australia in 2006. He also represented Samoa at the 2013 World Cup.
Yeah, a checkered career, but obviously a glory-littered one as well as some of the indiscretions that have followed him along the way and some of the personal difficulties he's had too. But congratulations on a full career, Brenny Maitua.
That's it. Dane Chisholm has confirmed that he is joining the Bradford Bulls. The playmaker played for Hull KR last year. He can cover a number of positions, including halfback, fullback and centre. Hang on. So my team, sans a halfback, gets 2 lines. Tommy Lillelai comes back and we've got 4 pages.
I couldn't find any interesting quotes because it was not really... It was sort of weirdly confirmed, wasn't he? He confirmed. One-line tweet out.
He confirmed
and the club said, yeah, we've got him, yeah.
Well, everybody it was the worst kept secret around Odsal for about a week, and then we were all waiting for it to be announced, and then he did it on his own personal Twitter feed. And the club, because the club normally like to try and send these emails out to season ticket holders, which is a pointless endeavour because you always hear about it anyway on things like Twitter. So
but it makes people feel a bit special that they're getting it first. Yeah, but what it does negatively is it impacts on the exclusive press releases that more people than just supporters get. Yeah. The fucking population that needs to know about rugby league. But anyway, clubs, do as you will. Do what you want. Yeah.
But it's a great signing. I'm very excited. Hopefully it's enough to spur us on over the last 3 games of the season. I suspect it may not be. I did have a joke lined up that I've not been excited about I've not been so excited about the arrival of Chisholm since my early teens. But what I do want to talk about is
Joe Keys. We haven't. I missed him from it. Sorry. Yeah. I didn't know if you talked about it last week. Did you?
We touched on it briefly, if I recall correctly. But what I do want to just talk about quickly is obviously the Bulls are probably going to play for the fucking plate this year. What the arrival of Dane Chisholm does, because he's on a deal until the end of next season. That's the spine. Well, hopefully,
Can you afford him next year?
We'll see. We'll see. But if everything remains, all things being equal, and he stays with the club, the spine of that team now is looking pretty young and energetic with O'Brien at hooker, a combination of Chisholm, Joe Keys, and Oscar Thomas, who's really developing his in-game management a lot more than I anticipated he would do, and then Kieran Moss at fullback. If you get a chance to watch Kieran Moss play, he was the young lad we picked up from the Parramatta under 20s. That kid can play. That is, without a doubt, he's really been probably the best fullback we've had since Brett Carney, I would say. He's that exciting to watch.
I imagine he's a different mould to...
but he's in terms of his excitement, he runs the ball well, he's good in defence.
You mean like a young Curtis Norton looked when he was coming through
like young Curtis Norton looked, yeah, exactly. Wonder whatever happened to him. He was never going to make it. Okay, the Catalan Dragons have revealed their team celebrating 10 years of the Super League club. 7 current Dragons were named in the 17-man Team of the Decade. 9 of the players selected are from overseas. The team is as follows. Clint Greenshields at fullback, Justin Murphy and Damien Blanche on the wings, centres Vincent Dupont and Adam Mogg, Thomas Boskin, Scotty Giroux in the halves, David Ferriol, Ian Henderson and Remy Casti in the front row, and a back row of Steve Menzies, Elliot Whitehead and Greg Muniz locking the scrum, with Pelissier, Chan, Busquets and Battieri making up the interchange bench. England will host the... sorry, go on.
Do we touch on that a little bit? The surprising name for me was Alex Chan. I don't remember him being much more than Workaday, but it's good to see quite a few French names in there.
Yes.
And
I was surprised Zeb Ty didn't get in, although maybe he didn't play there for long enough.
Well, I think it was probably a toss-up between him and Whitehead, and Whitehead got it.
Well, you're not going to get... No one's going to beat out Beaver.
Julian Busquets is a bit of a...
Yeah. Do you think some of these lads are in based on the fact that they've been at the club for the vast part of it?
I think Busquets had such a good season this year for them. He's stepped up far more from the player he was last year, which was far more than the player he was the year before that.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's happened there. Because you would have expected maybe a Jamal Fakir or
something sentimental.
Like well, someone who played a bit more of a role in the establishment of the club, but you've got that, I suppose, with Ferriol, with Casti, with Bosk, with Muniz, definitely. So great side, and well done on the Catalan Dragons on 10 years in Super League.
Yeah, absolutely. Fair play. Okay, England will bid to host the World Cup in 2021. The RFL has announced a mixture of 12 rugby league and other sporting venues, including Old Trafford and Wembley, will be selected if the bid is successful in the autumn. England, which hosted the 2013 contest, is the first country to confirm its bid, with potential rival submissions from South Africa and North America. The RFL has received £15 million from central government to support the bid. The government will also supply an additional £10 million to the RFL to benefit rugby league infrastructure in the north of England. The 2021 edition of the World Cup will be the biggest since 2000, with 16 teams and 31 matches. The RFL states 80% of the World Cup games will be held in Lancashire and Yorkshire if the bid is successful, with showpiece fixtures being played in London, the Midlands and the North East. It wants to get 1 million supporters to attend across the 31 games, which is ambitious. Paul Michael Craig got in touch with us and said, "My goodness, the RFL have got ambitious with the 21 Rugby League World Cup. Where was this ambition for this year's Four Nations?"
I don't think they got given any money for this year's Four Nations.
I suspect that might be mostly what it's to do with.
I think they had ambitions for the Four Nations, but they maybe didn't have us long to put those in place with all the other stuff that has been put in place. But the World Cup is run a bit bigger, a bit more separately, and hopefully it'll be as good a tournament as 2013. My worry is the 2001 was shit, wasn't it? That World Cup was problematic.
Yes.
Because there was too many teams, because the format didn't quite work.
Yeah.
There was loads of...
Do you think there's been an improvement?
Blowout. The only fun part of that one was the Wales, the first half of the Wales semi-final against Australia.
Yes.
And...
when it was all so...
But now Wales don't have that sort of calibre of player rocking out for them.
True.
Now that England are England all the time rather than Britain. And I suppose Ireland had a couple of exciting games. I remember going to watch one Ireland game that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then they played...
But then even Ireland are picking up some of the calibre of players that they had at that World Cup, when you think there was guys like Terry O'Connor, Barry McDermott and what have you. I don't think they're necessarily...
It was when Brian Carney was just about to join Wigan, and he was exciting. So hopefully it'll be great, though. Hopefully there's more nations now that play the game more regularly, though, I suppose, and it doesn't feel like those guys play a bit, let's get them in. The genuinely will be competitive qualifying for it. It's just more teams from all different areas will be able to gain access, so that's good. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the quality has generally improved in the 16 years since then, I think, especially from sort of the bottom end. I think they've not caught up fully by any stretch of the imagination, but I think there has been a catching up, and that will improve it as a prospect. And I also think in the 5 years planning time that there is for this, there will be a bit of a shift in how tier 2 nations can get players on board to play for them, and that I think we will see a movement towards more players turning out in the World Cup. Plus I think you'll see players kind of
finding that they've got heritage in countries that they didn't necessarily declare for, or what have you. I'm thinking that you'll definitely see a prominent Australian hooker playing for Lebanon should they get there. I think that if there's not if you know, a couple of Trebojevics don't improve beyond, you know, how they are doing, then you might see them in a few years playing for, although it's 21, and I suppose they'd probably be Aussie stalwarts by then if they were going to make
potentially.
it.
They're both pretty good.
You know, that fat lad off the NRL rookie, then he can go and play for Serbia, can't he? Things like that. But so yeah, it'd be interesting.